So basically, last time you guys spent your time trying to get some information and make some friends while keeping yourselves kind of disguised and hidden from the rather mean and nasty population of Grey Dwarves. You tried to find out a little bit from what you could inside the Bullet's lair before you made your way over to the Shattered Spire, where a lot more of the mercenaries and visitors go to have a drink here in the Dark Lake District. You met some interesting people and potentially made some friends and or allies. You had some powerful booze. And you decided to start making your way back to the lair to get some rest in. And as you were making your way there, Indigo sensed that you were all being watched. And through the crowds, as you guys shifted back through the district, he noticed a couple of drow kind of keeping tabs on you all, until as you are starting to make your way down through the tunnel into the lair, he sees 6 figures kind of shadowed standing outside. And that's where we had ended. And Indigo, as you're kind of like staring out at these 6 shadowy figures, and they're probably 60, 70 feet away. They're a good distance. And you guys are ever slowly going down. There's this very large looking shadow that comes in front of the entranceway as you guys are a little ways into the tunnel. And it looks like this large imposing figure. And it kind of like stops for a second. And then it starts descending towards you, and as it does, it starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and you guys are still kind of walking. But you hear the clinking of what sounds like chainmail and metal plates moving and the swishing of a large cloak, and you realize that it is quite a large figure. And as they come into view, more of the details do. You see an 8-foot-tall man with this wild, longish, red-brown hair, a large, kind of spiky, wiry beard. They have this charcoal gray kind of skin with these dark eyes. And they are wearing this kind of worn and beaten large set of plate armor. And across their shoulders, they're very broad shoulders. You see that there's this wiry cloak. And on the right-hand side, as this kind of cloak comes up, there is a large head of what looks like some kind of massive boar sitting there. And in one hand, they seem to be carrying a very large satchel. And in the other, you see a very large, almost... it's a mixture between a maul and an axe on a very short handle, but it seems incredibly heavy. And as they are kind of thunking down towards you guys, I guess a really good 2 figures to keep in mind when I'm describing this figure is a combination of Andre the Giant, like their arms and their legs are thick as friggin' tree trunks. They're massive. And have all of you guys seen the animated movie Brave?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You're picturing Merida's father. So, like, that's how broad this figure is. And they're coming down, and they've kind of got this smile on their face. And they kind of greet you all. And they're like,
"Oh, pardon me, I will just be moving on by you. Excuse me.
and he kind of like, you see he has, instead of a full helm, he just seems to have kind of a leather coif with a small metal plate on the top. And he pulls it off a little bit to like tip his hat in a sense, puts it back on, and he's like,
I'll just be moving by."
And Inigo, as you look back up the tunnel, you see that those 6 figures are no longer there.
As we continue to walk on in,
I would like to just to whisper to Sephel and Lara.
So I don't know if you noticed, but before this very impressive human just walked by. Hello. I'm pretty sure our previous captors are lurking around. I think they spotted us.
You saw them?
Oh yeah, they're like just back there. They've probably been following us for quite a while.
Lara's gonna spit around and try to make it out. Are we? We're like pretty far down though, right?
You're a ways down now. Yeah, you can just kind of see the top dome of the cavern entrance, but yeah, you don't see anybody behind you now.
How many
The
were
tall
there?
figure has moved on beyond you.
I think I saw 6 of them.
I don't like that. Like, did you get the impression that they recognized you?
It seemed like they were kind of like following us. So I'm gonna say yeah. But also they just, they saw where we were going and then they kind of skedaddled. So I think we're good to take a rest, and I think we kind of need to do that before we get started. But maybe we'll be, if we keep moving, maybe we can shake them. And this seems like a fairly safe place. As long as we keep watches, I'm sure we'll be fine.
We also have a meeting with a large and imposing figure tomorrow. We may be able to shift an allegiance with him to our benefit.
Very smart, Phil. Very smart.
I know.
Well,
Nice.
I think we should also consider finding perhaps another member to join us. And I would feel better if it wasn't just us 3 in the mushroom.
Hey.
Well, we do have a few options. If we get past a few lies, there was that dancing mercenary from the Shattered Spire.
You
Seemed to
liked
be-
her, did you, Sephel?
Well, she seemed to be willing to help us, and she certainly seemed she could hold her own, and I enjoyed her artistic expression. I want to know what love is.
Yep. There it
I
is.
feel like that's more appropriate for Sephel, considering he doesn't.
Yeah, she seems like she can totally take care of herself, and it's just like zooming in as she's dancing on the table that's playing.
Or,
If you felt that her physical prowess was more than sufficient, then I'm fine with that.
well, there is her. There is, Indigo seemed quite enamored with the fellow that briefly walked by us. I noticed you look a few times. Just be polite.
He's built like a brick house. Look at the gams on that guy.
I don't want to know what you mean by
gams.
gams.
I agree. He's perhaps a fine option as well in terms of power.
I do agree, though. Everything we seem to be either trying to find or have not find us seems to be in one place in a short period of time. Having allies other than the fungus may become necessity very quickly.
Okay, 2 things. Nay, 3 things. 1, more friends, always better. 2,
Carefully vetted friends.
Yes.
I've heard it both ways. 2, maybe we should check in with the Wyrmsmith before making any decisions. And, maybe what he has for us is going to lead us down a certain route. Maybe one of them will have a specialty. 3, do not forget all the times that Stool, who is standing right here, has saved both of your lives.
That's right.
Those have all been negated by the fact that I saved his life in turn, but I do agree with you.
Wait, when?
Let's speak to the Wyrmsmith.
I
I don't
also
think that's how that
agree.
works.
I also agree, which this feels weird. I'm uncomfortable with this situation. But I'm not downplaying Stool's usefulness in this specific case. Normally, totally am. Right now, I agree with you. However, more numbers are better, and more arms are better.
Nice. Stool and I fist bump, and I say, I know math. Big number, good.
Hell yeah.
The
Yeah.
square root of
Big-
144.
Big numbers. I
Listen,
don't know what
don't-
numbers are.
Don't ask me questions that haven't been known by science yet, Sephel. I mean, it's being ridiculous right
I hate you all. And he just turns and starts walking towards the rooms.
Dibs on
Laura-
first watch.
Laura leans over to Indigo. It's 14.
Did Grozit give you that answer? He just like whispered in your ear. It's like, it's 14.
Oh my god, that's great.
That's
But
brilliant.
sure, that's what we are. Wow. Stool's like, what's that other voice in your head, Laura? No, he doesn't say
Yeah,
that.
right.
Who's the other guy
Wild.
talking to you?
Yeah.
I own your brain.
You're mine.
There's a lot of free
Explodes.
real estate up here, guys.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry. Let's
Yeah,
let's
nap
let's
time.
rest, please.
Rest time.
You're
Sephel
all
will
going to rest. Okay.
Sephel will take actually he would request second watch because by the time that watch comes along, he will have essentially finished his long rest.
Okay.
Okay.
Indigo has a belly full of Spirit of the Deep Lake. He's good for first watch.
Jesus.
That's that's definitely going to be a disadvantage. Okay, so you all head back to the room. You are settling down for the evening. Is there anything as you do that your characters do specifically to like help them wind down? Is there any kind of like lingering thoughts or any such thing before they kind of drift off in their own ways?
I think sort of ritualistically, Sephel makes sort of his like peaceful meditative practice of just copying down his spells, you know, making sure that everything is lined up, taking extra time so it's like neat and orderly and everything is memorized. And also I think all of the magical items he has and notes of potential magical items he lays out in front of him. So he takes like the different colored crystals, he takes the note that he took about the I always forget the mage's name, but the mage that initially started like twisting the magical crystals down here. Just all of those things that are sort of goals for him to sort of understand, he lays in front of him and meditates on them.
Okay. Just for shits and gigs, since you have those crystals in front of you, why don't you roll another Arcana check?
Sure.
It's been a while since you kind of looked over and pondered them.
Okay. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I actually rolled really well, but because he is super intrigued with these crystals, and I want to do as well with this as possible because I am super intrigued by these. So as he is inspecting these crystals and looking them over, he's unsure if it is sort of a mixture of old knowledge trickling through or new knowledge gaining, but they're almost voices and impulses and thoughts sort of intertwining in his brain and sort of making him consider things that he wouldn't have before, or adding on to thoughts that almost don't feel like his own. And he is going to burn one of his knowledge from a past lives.
Okay.
Sure. Yep, I still have one of those left, so I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add an extra d6 onto this. Okay. So I rolled a 16 plus 7, so 23, and then I rolled a 2 on the d6, so that is a 25 even.
Okay. I'm pretty sure when I described those crystals a while back when you guys were in the castle, there was a green and a blue one, yes?
There was a... I know the blue one.
Oh,
Those
there
were the
was...
ones out in the courtyard. I think the other ones were red.
They contain different energy, otherwise they would clear. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it
yeah,
wasn't
I have two red shards and one large blue chunk, because I think I did pretty well at harvesting that one.
And you put one of them into your staff, I believe.
Yeah, we did red into
yeah.
our weapon. Yeah, red is in his staff and red is in my shield.
Yes. So that energy that you guys saw kind of come and go from those clear crystals, they're no longer red. In fact, they're clear. There doesn't seem to be energy inside of them. And as you are pondering the clear ones, Sephel, it kind of better clicks inside. You know that they hold energy, they contain energy, and they can expel it. In your staff, you realize what it can do for you in this particular instance. When you you go to cast a spell, and it is of like you essentially like there's a couple of touch attacks that you can do as a wizard, and usually if you miss, it's gone, it's wasted, right?
Okay.
It can preserve it one time, so you do not expend the spell slot.
Interesting.
And then once that's done, it can't do it again for the day.
And that's specifically with touch-based spells.
With any spell that you would, essentially like the touch ones, anything that you would touch upon a wielder, so like the crystal has to touch it, not necessarily your fingers. If you were going to put the spell through it, but for some reason or another you don't make contact, it's able to hold on to that energy just a little bit longer before you release it.
Very cool.
Once per day, that can happen.
Very cool.
And you realize that with Lara's shield, because of the crystal that's in it, and she can absorb / resist a small amount of any type of elemental or energy damage. Not psychic, but like fire, thunder, all that kind of stuff. She can negate a small amount of that damage because it will absorb it into the crystal.
Super cool.
She could potentially, should she make contact with someone, release that energy back at them, that small amount that it absorbs.
So it's sort of like the absorb element spell.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
Sick.
super fucking sick.
So those crystals are pretty good. The larger blue one, though.
Yeah, that's the
This
one that
one
had like
in-
almost gravitational, or not gravitational, but you said it seemed lighter than it should.
Its weight is almost non-existent, and when you had used some of your gravitational magics, it had kind of reacted to it. Its glow had become brighter in a sense. You realize that's exactly what these crystals are all about. It's a type of moonstone, literally. They are deeply connected with gravitational magics or of celestial kind of natures, anything kind of beyond in space. But what it can do in particular depends on how you use it. But however you do, you know it will enhance those types of magics.
Yes. So once Sephel realizes that, because he laid out all these objects and was doing this as sort of like a meditative, trying to calm and find peace. But as soon as he realizes what those crystals can do, specifically the blue crystal, he gets... It's invigorating. It's so exciting to him that this is now a chunk of magic that, I mean, he in a way has been searching for more connections to this type of magic. So he's super excited about that, and I think Lara... is Lara awake or is Lara asleep right now? Probably resting, right?
Yeah, resting.
Okay, so he's super excited about the red one, but hold on to that. We said it was a larger blue chunk. Is there any way that he can break off like a smaller size? Essentially, he wants to switch out the crystal in his staff. He realizes that, like, okay, this one is super cool, but this one directly connects to my magics, and he wants to get a smaller chunk of the larger blue crystal that he has and affix that one to the staff instead.
Do you have a jeweler's kit? Or some type of hammer?
I don't think so. What do I have? I've gotten a lot of random shit. I have a flint dagger that would probably crack immediately. No, I don't.
I will say, with a jeweler's kit, you could make very precise cuts and make a very nice faceted gem out of it to a very specific size and all that kind of stuff, and maybe even whatever you're trying to input it into your staff, you would have far better results. If you were to kind of try to break off a piece, you run the risk of destroying a lot of the material that you do have. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of up to you. Or if you don't find, or if you don't have either of those things, which doesn't sound like, you can try to find someone within Gracklestugh who might be able to do that for you.
That is my thought. It's super frustrating to him because he's very excited about it and he doesn't want to wait. But if he understands that he risks ruining the usage of it, mm-hmm. I don't think he'd take that risk.
Okay.
So I think he'll take the knowledge. He's super jazzed about it, but he will begrudgingly wait.
Sure. Okay. Indigo or Lara, anything before your watch or rest that's kind of running through their minds, or anything they do?
I can pop it. I think Indigo is kind of processing the kind of chaotic city scene. It's by far the most densely populated place we've been, in a while. So he takes some time to do some sketches of Gracklestugh as he gets ready for his watch.
Nice. I honestly picture all the sketches that I have in this book as Indigos now, of like the different people and all the figures of the Grey Dwarves and the city and stuff like that. That's a fun thought for me. Sorry, listeners, you don't get that unless you have the adventure path. Nice.
Yeah. Lara, I think that she just does her routine, which I imagine is like checking on her weapons, sharpening, making sure everything is clean and ready to go, and then going through her list of everyone that she hopes to kill one day, and then she'll go to sleep.
Wow, how very Arya Stark of you. I like it. Okay. Saying the list a couple times to herself.
Yeah, right.
It's either Arya or Santa Claus. Each one's bringing you a gift. Okay. So you guys settle in for the presumable evening. And as you are... Indigo, how do you post up for watch, by the way? Are you like sitting by the door? Or are you just on your bed, keeping kind of like an active ear out? What are you doing for this?
I imagine Indigo is like seated at the foot of one of the cots, and like he has his book out in front of him, and he's kind of doing some sketches while he like keeps an eye, help make sure he stays awake. Mm-hmm. And then like in like the hand that he's using to like hold the pages, he also has one of like the daggers that they sharpen down from short swords back in the castle, just like at hand, just kind of like absentmindedly twirling it as he sits and waits.
Okay. As you all begin your rest and stuff like that, you, Indigo, definitely hear, and go ahead and roll me a perception check on top of that. You definitely hear the heavy footsteps of that large figure. Sounds like they're going into the room, basically right across the hall from you guys. You hear the door open and shut. You hear their kind of belongings hitting the ground and stuff like that. You hear the voices of various patrons coming in and out. But what's your total there?
So the total is 7, but it started as a 1. I don't know if that's important for you or not, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically what you hear for your time in the watch, is people coming and going, the voices back and forth, opening and closing of doors, maybe the weird kind of occasional telepathic snore from Stool as they sit in the corner, presumably asleep. You can't really tell because like the holes where their eyes are don't move or like close, they're just there. So it's probably like a doll that sits in a chair staring at you. Like that's
Not terrifying at all. You know?
No, absolutely not. Especially not with our fan art where he looks like a little hobo, which I love.
He's so cute.
I love him so much. Yeah, but that's all you notice for your watch.
Super cashy. All right, I'll go. Once I see Sephel start to rouse himself, because he's pretty. I imagine his rest cycle is almost like clockwork. I go and like give him a nudge.
Okay. What about you, Indigo? Not Indigo. Sephel. Do you reside within the room? Do you go outside? How are you taking your watch?
He is going to... Yeah, no, I think he'd stay inside the room. I think he would post up probably on the wall, if there's space on it, like directly across from the door.
Okay. Okay. When you said on the wall, all I was picturing, I was like, is he really going to burn spell slots to just like gravitationally keep him seated on the actual wall? Just whoosh.
No, we're not that powerful yet. Give me my staff and we'll see. But
Okay.
no, right now, no, right now he's just like leaned up against the wall, staff like over his lap, thinking on a lot of things, but mainly just keeping a watch on the door.
Okay. Make me a perception check.
Aight.
Ooh, we'll go ahead and do this. Indigo, do you want to make me a Constitution saving throw, by the way?
I would love to.
Let's get there, Sephel.
6.
6, okay, cool. Indigo?
Wrong 6.
13.
13. Okay. Yeah, you're sleeping soundly there, Indigo. Working off that booze.
Mm-hmm.
Sephel, you are so caught up in all of the various things that have happened to you and the recent discovery of what these crystals are, that like the comings and goings of people fade from your mind. You know, you hear them, but you know, you don't pick up on anybody trying to break into the room or listening at the door. Nothing seems to kind of capture your attention, and your watch goes by smoothly. We're gonna do one more. Did Laura or Stool want to take it?
I'll let Stool do it.
Stool do it? Okay. Laura needs her beauty sleep. She's got to have it. Otherwise, she's going to kill him in the morning. So.
Yep.
I imagine that's part of the routine, kind of like from Princess Bride, where he's like, the Dread Briar Roberts would be like, "Good night, Wesley. Probably kill you in the morning."
Probably kill you in the morning.
Yeah, she says that the Stool every time.
I just like the thought of like Indigo going, or somebody going to Lara to wake her up, and she just opens one eye like a quarter bit, says, "Don't even fucking think about it," and then just goes back to sleep.
No. Absolutely not.
You cannot conceive how little I care for the watch.
I will let all of us die.
Your lives mean nothing to me still. Okay, so Stool then takes watch, and he just plants himself in the middle of the room. And Sephel, since you are now currently the only one awake to really notice this, you see that, like, he is always, in this time period, very slowly just emanating a small amount of spores, and you kind of see them drifting towards the door. And yeah, that's all you see, but he just kind of sits there and just occasionally a little poof, poof of those spores. But you all managed to get a full night's rest. So I need both Sephel and Lara to make Constitution saving throws, by the way.
Is this against disease or poison?
This is against a disease, so you're probably fine, aren't you?
No, I just have advantage.
Okay.
I got a 10.
A 10. Oof. Oof.
17.
Okay, you, Sephel, are fine. You do not succumb to the smog. But however, Lara, I guess it was just fated. You are sick. You have what is called the Gracklestugh. So kind of over the course of this last stage of her rest, Sephel, you start hearing Lara kind of sniffling and coughing and occasionally hacking a little bit. And
Appropriate. I can like hear, you know, the breathing that somebody does when they've got like pneumonia, like the mucus in their lungs, like just the wheezing noise. I just imagine that's like it gets deeper as
She was probably snoring really loud too.
Yeah, it just got worse and worse and worse. But Lara, when you wake up and you kind of start coughing and you blow your nose, you see that like both your phlegm and like your snot is coming out black. It's just straight up nastiness. It's like me after being at the forge. Like, that's just how it looks. It's bad. But yeah, you actually have a level of exhaustion as well because you have contracted this disease, and that will stay until you are able to save from it. But for every day that you continue to have this and you do not save, another level of exhaustion will incur itself upon you.
I could die.
You could very well die from this disease.
So is it
You know what? I kind of like it though, because now I don't have to hide my sniffling.
Good. This is how it works out.
Yeah. Podcast listeners love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite thing.
This is how dedicated we are to you all.
So
Yeah,
I
it's
have
definitely acting.
I have to wonder, is like the general population, is it just kind of the disease that shall not be named, where it's like everybody either got sick and just fucking died, or they just got accustomed to it? Like, everybody that lives here is just kind of okay at this point with the smog, or is every inhabitant just one day away from dying?
Thinking back on it, as you see her kind of coughing this stuff up, Sephel, I will say that you have at a 20 intelligence, you have a passive enough. What the hell is that word? Oh my god! Your passive intelligence is able to tell you that both the Darrow and the Grey Dwarves were not affected by this. You saw none of them hacking up or sniffling, nothing of the like. They seemed perfectly fine. But a number of the other races that were kind of making their way around the Dark Lake district did have this same kind of hacking, cough, wheeze, and sniffling. So you think that the natives of the city have become essentially immune to this condition.
Gotcha.
In a sense. So, yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yes, the good old Gracklestugh seized another.
What about drow?
The drow, you did notice that they were coughing.
Interesting.
Couple of them. Couple those that you did see. Yeah, it seems just if your lungs can withstand the horrible amount of smog that drifts throughout the city. Some places seem a little bit better. As you guys were walking out, you saw most buildings, especially those within the stalagmites, seem to be spewing some kind of exhaust, essentially, smoke coming from the forges. So, if it's bad on the streets or up on the, in the less crowded upper ramparts of these stalagmites, inside must be absolutely god-awful. But yeah.
Yeah, Lara, she like stumbles out of bed and she's like coughing and there's like phlegm everywhere that's really black. Oh, I feel awful. This place is hell.
Stool's just sitting there. He's like, it's not supposed to be taking effect yet? I mean, what? Oh no, it's so horrible.
I knew it.
He doesn't actually say that. I mean, he's just
He
like,
will rot us all from the inside. Kill him.
Now.
Are you okay, Lara?
Apparently the smog is in my lungs. I'm exhausted. And yet I think I slept longer than the rest of you.
That sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can remind me tomorrow morning. I might be able to do a thing. I just wasn't thinking about it when I went to sleep, but now that I know, like, I might be able to help.
You're saying you could have fixed me, but you didn't think about it?
Well, I'm saying that, like, I have to, like, prepare in order to do that, and I just, like, didn't know this was a thing that was going to happen to you until right now.
I will say, in Indigo's defense, which I very rarely speak in,
I'll thank you,
not. We were not aware of the atmospheric condition. Not atmosphere. What is it? There is a sphere of underground, but Sephel would know. Brendan doesn't. But the
karst sphere.
Yes, we were not aware of the effects of the smog around us.
It's fine. I'm not concerned. Clearly, I just need to do more push-ups. And she'll get down on the ground and start working out.
Okay.
Every time she pushes up, she just like throws up more like black phlegm.
I just need to work it out.
Okay.
It's a puddle.
It's like when you're really hungover and you're like, I just need to sweat it out of my system.
Yup.
Yeah, definitely ain't like that though. It just keep coming.
Hair of the dog with like
easy.
Edward 40 hand.
Yeah, right.
If I get drunk, I won't feel the effects.
Right.
If I die.
All right, so you guys have awoken. You will all need to eat some kind of food except for Sephel, because you're just weird. So do you guys like go to find something to eat? Do you just eat from your rations?
Well,
oh my god, I just had
I
a
was
flashback
actually
to like any time I visited a city, it's like, oh god, what do I do? Anyways.
Sephel would actually, while they're trying to figure out what they're going to eat, if you do descend to the lower floor or exit the building, we do need to figure out how to hide my visage without using all of my magical abilities.
Yes.
So, Sephel, I have a thing for this. Indigo pulls out his sketchbook and like turns around a page, and it's like definitely your cloak, and then like just like a black pillowcase with eyes cut out over it. So like you'll be like an executioner, but like a magic executioner. I call it the Magicutioner.
The Magicutioner, that's amazing. Way to go, Indigo.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
Love it. Sephel hates it. I'm here for it.
Is that supposed to be Sephel in the drawing?
It's Sephel in like a couple of minutes after I cut through this pillowcase.
I need to ask about the logistical implications. If for whatever reason, the sheet shifts itself to not be direct, so that the eye holes are not in front of my eyes.
Oh, yep.
That
Couldn't you
can
use the
create a
suckers on
nightmare.
your tentacle to like keep the bag in place?
Boom. Good stuff, Stool. Good
don't-
stuff.
Thank you. He
My
pounds it.
players have.
Spells with it.
Are there suckers?
Oh yeah, they're like fully functioning octopus tentacles.
Well, I knew they were like a pen, like they could grab things with them.
Yeah.
I know so little of my own race.
Well, I mean, you haven't really studied yourself. You've just kind of been like, okay, this is a thing now.
It's like, this is fine. Everything's fine.
Yep.
Listen, in the number of questions that he has, why was I a human and now am not, is definitely on there, but it's not the highest.
Clearly not important.
It's not the highest.
When did I turn into this brain-eating monster? I don't know. Anyways, stones.
Yeah.
Fuck yourself.
I think it's fine. It
I
would hide your face. I've
He
seen
can-
other people who look worse.
He gives like the longest, like, gravelly sigh. I will accept if there is no better option.
Great.
But-
I'm gonna rip a pillowcase off the bed and hand it to him.
This is humiliating.
I mean, you're the one who has to hide your face, so...
Don't talk to me for the rest of today.
I think
Don't telepath at me.
Don't telepath at me. Keep your little freaky spores out of my brain.
Okay, so this is hysterical and all. What about my limbs?
you don't have gloves?
You have gloves? No, I don't have gloves, Lara. We
Well, I mean, how?
need I remind you, we started in prison. They stole all of our shit. And then we've been in the Underdark.
Well, I
Where
have
do
a
you
pair
make gloves?
in my inventory says clothing fine, social outerwear. Would I have any gloves for spell?
Sure. Let's say you have gloves. Are they the same size, though? Will they fit? We shall see.
They're like Michael
Spell, don't-
Jackson white gloves.
Yes, absolutely they are.
So
Spell,
let's-
don't be ridiculous. Of course I have gloves. I'm an adventurer. She'll get them out and hand them to you.
He begrudgingly puts them on. So let's take stock of this. There is a tentacle-faced squid
Executioner.
eldritch
Execution.
creature
Yeah.
in black and purple robes.
Mhm.
You said black pillowcase. What did we have in the room? I hope
it's
they
totally
were black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So black pillowcase, white gloves.
Yeah. Listen, if I see that guy in the market, I'm not gonna mess with him. He's definitely insane. And will be like a bitch.
I'm definitely not a mind player.
I'm more saying this out loud for someday. Someone will draw this.
Well,
It's gonna
let's-
be great.
And
well, we can
I'm
also say,
so sorry.
Sephel, all we need is a storyline that you have leprosy or some similar disease, and that's why you have to keep covered. And then no one will touch you.
We could say that I have contracted a severe case of whatever the hell you're
Leprosy.
dealing with.
Oh.
I don't think there's a minor case of leprosy.
You only lose half your limbs.
Well, why does it need to be minor? We want people to stay away from you.
No, I'm saying why would I say severe case of leprosy?
I see.
If you have leprosy, it's already pretty severe.
It's a rapid onset. We got it last night, and he's losing everything so quickly.
I woke up and my arm was just next to me, cauterized and everything.
Yeah, right.
No, we can say I've contracted a severe case of whatever disease is going around, the contagious sort, it has passed on to you, and so I have covered myself to not infect anyone else around me.
Can I roll an insight check on this disease that I'm feeling, and whether Lara is connecting it to contagion or environment?
You already know it's environmental based. It's not a like virus or bacterial, know, infection or pathogen. It's just because of the environment that It's like allergies essentially.
Yeah.
I am patient 0 for the new mutation of
leprosy. Just say it, Sephel.
Why are you so upset?
Because it needs to.
You can so clearly see I have all of my limbs.
If one of your tentacles moves inside the bag, you could just pretend that like your nose just fell off or something.
I mean, okay, well, so here is. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
But the Magicianer's great.
No, the Magicianer is actually the better of these two options. That is the problem.
I thought they were combined.
I am actually excited about the Magicianer at this point.
Well, we need to move on. We're going to be late to go see the Wyrmsmith.
Yeah,
can we give us a time?
He said tomorrow,
Breakfast.
which is very flexible.
Can't we all just eat a good berry? Do we have to have breakfast?
We could have a good berry.
If you want a good berry, Stu holds out their arm and just like pop, 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 pop. A whole bunch of good berries are there.
Thank you.
Go ahead, have them.
I'm so glad I don't eat.
Yeah, Lara will grab one.
Sephel, eat the food! He just starts chucking it at your bagged head. Fat lord, eat the food!
Sephel just looks at him, and he doesn't say this out loud, but if you could see his expression under the pillowcase, it would just be, what are you?
He takes a good berry, he puts it in one of his like spore holes, and he's just like, watch this, and then just like puffs and just goes poof. Flies
like
out.
a water spout.
Holds his nose and boom, just
His
up into the air.
blowhole.
Yeah, his blowhole. Oh, okay.
Timeline.
So you guys have figured out this disguise that you're going to attempt out in the public eye. You know you have a meeting with the Wyrmsmith at some point when you get there, presumably, because you still don't know what time it even is. And this is truly the city that doesn't sleep. You have all eaten. You have lots of things that you can trade and barter with or buy. What is your first order of business? Nobody jumped the gun.
I mean, I think we should just go see the Wyrmsmith. Like, first things first. We all have weird stuff we could do, but, he told us where to go find him. Let's go.
Yeah, I
that
totally
cave.
agree. I think we have other things to do, but if we have to do that in the morning, then our best bet is to go there first anyway. And then, like, I don't know, you guys probably have other stuff that you want to do, like shopping.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you guys make your way out of the Bullet's Lair, as we'll continue to call it, because the dwarvish term I'm just not that great with. And you start making your way to one of the gates that you see to what would be on the south of our Roll20 map here, as that was the way that Themberschaud had gone. I'm just saying it that way because it sounds like Thember Chad otherwise.
No,
and
I
hate
just
it.
remember I called him Thunderchode, and that's still amusing to me and only me.
Because we are children. You guys start making your way to the nearest south gate, which you do see that there are a couple of guards at. And as you're approaching, you see that same large figure standing in front of a couple of those guards, kind of discussing something with them. And as you start to approach, one of the other guards kind of steps forward in your direction. And you can kind of hear that this figure and the dwarf that they are speaking with are kind of in a small heated argument. But yeah, this guard approaches you, the four of you, I should say, and is like,
State your business. What do you need here at the gate?
We are here to see the Wyrmsmith. Is something going on there with that gentleman?
The dwarf looks back, and the large figure actually heard you kind of call out, and he turns around and he goes,
Oh, I'm trying to move beyond these walls. I don't understand why I'm not allowed to move beyond them. I've never seen a city like this. I'd like to see more of it.
And
There.
oh, go ahead.
No, I think Lara would have just responded. There seems to be some confusion. He's with us. We were specifically invited to see the Wyrmsmith.
Ooh. Make a. I could see it going either persuasion or deception. I'll let you pick.
Let me just check which one's better.
Don't forget,
Oh,
you're
they're the
exhausted.
same.
You're exhausted.
Yes. So
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, that means they have to roll twice and take the lower.
I mean, does anybody help her out? Does anybody say anything else to try to make this better or not?
I will help her. I don't want to roll because I have no bonus. But I will say, yes, we had informed him specifically to meet us this morning. We slept separately, but he was meant to meet us with Thembershad.
Okay. Let's see. All right, this figure, they kind of like hear you and they're kind of squinting at you, and it kind of hits them what you're trying to do, and they're like,
Oh, yes. No. I'm so sorry. I got in a little bit later than them. No, I'm with them.
Yeah, so Sephel will look at him and say, we had specifically informed you to meet us at the Ballet's lair before we came here. I told you there would be issues if you tried to come alone. It's better that we travel in a group.
You're right. I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot that little bit of information. Thank you for reminding me. I'm so sorry.
he's like saying that to the guards, and he's, kind of like giving a bow to them as they are half of his size. But Lara, what'd you roll?
So is that a
Not
straight
at
roll?
disadvantage. Not at disadvantage. So
It's a 13, and I rolled
It's a 13.
persuasion.
okay. Okay. The tall figure who you don't know puts a large hand on a colossal hand on your shoulder and is like,
Oh, yes, no. Of course, everything's fine. Sorry, just meeting back up with them.
and the dwarves look at each other and kind of at the others behind them, and the one that had approached you all then turns back to you and goes,
You say you have business with the Wyrmsmith? And how did you all meet them?
The Wyrmsmith came to us upon arriving to Gracklestugh.
So I had a prior meeting with you, and who would you be to be so special to the Wyrmsmith?
We don't have the foggiest idea. That's why we're going to meet him.
You are impeding his will. Do you want us to tell him that you kept us from the meeting?
Yes, what's your name?
"Ooh, make an intimidation check."
Yeah.
Advantage?
I will give.
Can I let Lara
Yeah,
do
I will
that?
say that you aided with that. Like, what's your name? What's your badge number? Kind of deal. Like,
Yeah, right.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Well, is it advantage, disadvantage, cancel out?
it, yeah, it would cancel out. So it's
Yeah,
just a
it would be a
straight
straight roll.
Well, that is... Oh, I can't read these freaking dice. 11 plus 6 is 17.
Damn. Okay, his eyes kind of flare for a second, and he's just like,
All right, open the gate. I'm sure nothing will befall them out there trying to talk with a Wyrmsmith. It'll be fine.
and the others kind of stare at him, and he like whips around in this really weird way and points his finger at the big figure, and he's like,
But just know, I'm watching you.
and he gets like weirdly angry out of nowhere. And then like the others are kind of staring at him, and they're like eyeballing this other dude like, yeah, fuck this guy. And then simultaneously you all kind of notice that they all just immediately go back to calm, and they turn around and they start opening up these large gates that you're all standing in front of, and you guys are allowed to pass through.
Weird.
That's super weird.
Much obliged, and she'll head on it.
Okay. You guys start making your way through the gates, and as you make your way through, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the map here. We'll take a... I didn't make the turn order to pop up. We'll take a minute to kind of reveal some stuff as you guys are walking. This is what you're starting to see. As you guys pass through, this large figure kind of walking along with you, their armor shaking and creaking. They turn to you all as you guys are kind of a little ways away from the gate, and they go,
Hey, I appreciate that very much. You did not need to do me such kindness.
We did not need to, but... Well, if I'm being honest, we don't know what we're about to walk into, and it wouldn't be awful to have an ally.
Oh, and I'm assuming that has to do with something of this Wyrmsmith you speak of.
Have you met the Wyrmsmith?
No, I only arrived just last night.
Oh, we are about to go have a meeting with a adult red dragon who met us upon our arrival yesterday morning, supposedly, and told us to meet him supposedly in his lair.
he's just kind of stares at you for a moment, no reaction, and then he just...
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't.
And as he's like staring at you all,
Yes,
just,
it's quite absurd.
Oh, you're serious about this?
Yes, no, I promise you I'm not joking. You're welcome to come along if you'd like to fact check me, however.
Well, I would actually recommend that you come along, being that we just lied for you, and if you don't come along, it'll be very clear that it was a lie.
Yeah,
Well,
that's bad. Lying is wrong.
It's a little strong on me, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't need to get like that this quick, but no, you helped me in a small bind. I'll help you in what will hopefully only be a small bind. No, I'm
Definitely.
introduction should probably be in order. The strongly assertive one is Lara.
I didn't mean to be quite so aggressive there. I was trying to be helpful.
they thrust out their huge hand, and they're like,
no worries, Lara. I've met quite a number of people, not all super receptive, but I am Arthur Vane.
then sticks his hand out to Indigo, and I'm sure, you all go around kind of introducing yourselves. And he asks,
So, where is this lair of this Wyrmsmith?
Tunnels to the southwest. We were told anyway. We've never actually been there.
All right. Well, I suppose we can get lost together. No worries, no harm there. I'm sure we can't run into too much trouble.
I'm sure an adult red dragon walking through smog-covered streets would leave a few tracks, perhaps. Can I make a look?
sure, yeah, go ahead. Roll a survival check. Anybody can do this, or
help?
Arthur can take a look.
Indigo will do his own roll.
I am not great at survival, so I will leave this to the
shit.
experts.
Arthur got a natural 19 plus 3.
Good, because I got a 4.
Yeah, I got an 11.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 5. I got a 5.
As you guys are kind of like all chit-chatting and stuff like that, and you're like, well, obviously there's got to be tracks here. Like something like that can't be unnoticed. Arthur manages to kind of like pick out as you guys start making your way. The Yep, that's exactly how it is. He's murmuring that. and he's like, he finally sees some tracks and he's like skipping from one to one. He's like, oh yeah, I found a trail. I'm sure this can help us out here. And as you guys are making your way through the streets, eventually you are passing more and more of these structures built in and amongst these stalagmites until you finally reach what is this large stone bridge passing over a large chasm. And as you look at the edge of this space to your left and to your right, you see that this space continues for quite some time. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it all revealed here for you guys. Yeah, you see this large kind of gap in the ground. Where is it? It's you would reckon, as you're looking at it, probably around 200 feet deep. And at the base of it, as you guys like look down over the edge, I'm assuming some of you do as you're making your way across, you see that there are wagons and people on a kind of what looks like a pebble/stone road down at the bottom, just making their way to and fro. You see to what would be on our map here, the right, that there is a large incline that starts making its way up into the shallower parts of this chasm until it reaches a large set of gates in which there are a number of wagons and people trying to move their way in and out of these set gates. The gap here, just to kind of get you guys a little more acquainted, this bridge is 500 feet long.
Whoa.
It is a massive gap. And you see that there are numerous, a large number of bridges going across this space here. And as you're also looking down, can you all make a perception check for me? Mm-hmm. Sure.
Well, not gonna roll that one again. That's a nat 1.
Okay.
18.
Oof.
I got you guys.
Okay, cool. So Laura, you kind of just start coughing a bit, but you know, you're I'm assuming the others kind of describe it to you because you're like, oh, what am I not seeing here? You all notice that there are all over the walls on the inside of this space, there are holes and stairways and like small, almost dumbwaiter elevator style systems moving up and down. And you see that lots of the dwarves are coming in and out of these holes, and you would presume that this must be where they actually live in comparison to the rest of the city, that inside these cavern systems of the chasm, this is where they reside, versus everything up above here on the level that you are on must be kind of like the work area. The other thing you notice is that there are very few Darrow walking about, and anytime they see you and kind of look upon your forms and see who you are, not being a Grey Dwarf or a fellow Darrow, they sneer and spit at you and scowl, and they kind of like move along. The other thing you notice is besides the 5 of you now, there are no humans, there are no drow, there are no orcs, it's only Grey Dwarves and Darrows on this side of the wall that you had passed through in that gate. And as you finally make your way across this chasm, you see that there's one very large structure in particular. I'm going to ping it here on the map. This one here. And from it you see, as it travels up the the stalagmite, you see that there are a number of openings that kind of become small landings almost. And upon each one of them, you see from your current position, you see 8 of these different ones. You see that there are large trebuchets and what looks like maybe, I think I would only claim that Lara would know what the other things are. You see these very large black cylindrical type tubes pointed downwards along the very edge of these ledges, and you realize that there are also these large cannons and mortars along with these trebuchets, and that they are all positioned upon different sections or like aiming over different parts of the city. And you think that this must be like the main fortress of Gracklestugh. And as you guys are kind of making your way, more and more tracks of the dragons start to kind of appear, wandering their ways about. Can all of you either make an investigation, survival, or perception check for me?
You got it.
Dirty 20 for investigation.
Another natural 1 on perception.
Damn. Oh
I got
my
an
God.
18, and yes, that was a disadvantage.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Indigo, I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong here, just like this structure in particular must be like, when I read this, what this place looks like, I thought of Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings. Like, that's kind of the scale and everything you should be thinking about here. I imagine this catches your eye and you're like trying to do a bunch of sketches and stuff like that. And the, also the chasm and, the styles of the Grey Dwarves is different here than those that you saw in the Dark Lake district. There's a lot more fine clothing and armor. And by fine, I don't mean like gaudy decadent. It just seems like the materials are better built. You notice that the Grey Dwarves don't seem to go for any kind of overly decorative or embroidered materials or anything like that. Nothing flashy. They are purely about function, fit, and making themselves look more powerful. That's what you kind of are noticing as you're walking through this part of the city. Laura, you notice that there seems to be a large contingency of tracks kind of making their way to the southeast. And Sephel, you have noticed that there are a couple of Grey Dwarves that you've spotted that have kind of been eyeing you like, who is this group of people kind of wandering about? They are dressed in these white robes with a symbol of a flame kind of embroidered into the middle there, and underneath them they are still wearing like a variety of lighter armor, but you see a number of these figures kind of eyeing you as well. Do you guys follow tracks, or what are you doing?
We clearly need to follow the tracks. They're heading to the southeast.
Agreed. Continue on to the dragon. Do not mingle with... I imagine these are the keepers of the flame I had mentioned before reading
Does
about.
seem like it.
Let's not get factionally involved before we have more information. Let's go to our scheduled meeting.
Okay. You guys continue farther south, and eventually you come around one kind of larger stalagmite here, pinging it once again on roll 20 for you guys. And as you do, you see that there is kind of a a couple of small outcroppings, what looks like small buildings built into this large cavern wall that has now come down from atop. It forms a dome over the city, and it comes down here to this wall, and you see a couple of buildings, and more figures come out with these white robes with the flame symbol decorating their chest, and they kind of look at you quizzically, but they don't say anything.
Sorry. This is at the stalagmite?
This is a little bit farther south. You guys are...
Okay.
You're, like, here. I'll go ahead and move your tokens, by the way.
Are these figures in the robes, are they blocking our way, or are they just, like, peeping us?
They're not necessarily blocking your way, but it seems they don't know why you are there. And like they seem to be kind of keeping an eye on you, and as you stand there not necessarily saying something, more of them are coming out of the buildings and seem to be kind of forming a line of sorts behind this first figure that came out.
At the point of multiple people emerging, I think Sephel would step forward. We do not wish to impose on an area we are not welcome. We were invited here by Thembershad, the Wyrmsmith, to meet.
All the figures at that kind of gaze at each other, and what are people's passive insight?
12 for Sephel.
It's just a 10 for Indigo.
That is surprising to me.
Yep.
Sam, you're
I'm
muted.
on 9.
Also,
at
wait,
9, okay.
wait, hold up. Sephel, you have intelligence 20. Your passive is at least 15.
Insight is wisdom.
Oh,
not
I thought you
intelligence.
said investigation. Silly
No,
me.
insight. Sorry.
Silly me. Yo, no, it's a 16. My bad.
No, my passive investigation is a
yeah,
17.
I was like, wait a second. You're
I'm
good at that. No, sorry. Misunderstanding.
No one ever
There we
asks
go.
for passive charisma. I don't get it.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not really.
Because it doesn't fucking exist, you warlock scrub.
Get good. Both Sephel and Arthur just look at you and like, get good, scrub. No,
But intelligence is a dump stat.
Oh, okay. So both Arthur, Sephel, Indigo, and Stool, you all independently see this kind of collective worried look pass over all of their faces. But they try to keep a particular type of calm, and then this figure in the front looks at you all and goes, "Very well, I am Gartokar, and I will escort you into Thundershroud's domicile. If you would please follow me closely, and I would suggest that you do not touch a thing, or you will incur his wrath."
Understood. Thank you.
Oakley dokley.
Lead on.
Stool.
Absolutely not gonna touch a thing.
Good.
Arthur just looks at the rest of you all and is like,
Don't worry about me. I'm not going to touch a thing. I don't think I'm really up for a dragon right now.
and you all proceed inward. And a couple of these dwarves are kind of following you guys as you start going farther and farther into this cavern. And as you do, the heat, the ambient heat of Gracklestugh just seems to get hotter and hotter until the sweat is just like prickling at the back of your necks. Until you guys, oops, I gotta go back to reveal area. Thank you, Roll20. You guys finally come into this chamber, and I have a little passage here to read you guys. As the dwarf priests lead you to a building carved from stone outside the huge entrance, the ground trembles slightly, and a thunderous voice echoes against every wall. The voice calls as a reptilian behemoth comes into views. Its scales the color of lava, its bright yellow eyes glowing in the shadows of the cave before coming into the light. And this all strikes you as kind of odd when he says this.
You didn't say I was having surfacers for dinner today.
And the dragon chuckles. His massive body gives the distinct impression, as you all noticed before, that he is a bit overweight, perhaps indicating some eating habits that don't bode well. And that same dwarf that has been leading you in and you spoke to before, he goes, "Foreigners." And he turns you all. "Meet the father of the flame, the ever-burning, and the foundry's heart, Thembershoud, the Wyrmsmith of Gracklestugh." And he bows, and he leaves you all in the presence of the Wyrmsmith, to which they kind of turn and recede farther back into this lair of theirs, and not even waiting for you guys to follow. Do you follow them?
Come this far,
Yeah.
might as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You proceed inward, and as you do, small torches, start lining the walls until eventually you start hear the shifting of coins and metals as Themberchild climbs a massive hoard of gold and then settles down upon it, and just the shifting of their weight just sends a cascade of these coins and jewels and different things to the ground, kind of pushing the pile backwards. And they turn their massive head to you and they say,
I'm glad you accepted my invitation and came. I'm sorry for what I said before. But I have to be careful around those keepers.
What reason do you have to be careful for small creatures? You could crush them if you wanted to, could you not?
I very well could, but I have found it in my greater interest to merely observe them. I am fed. I am paid for all of my services. But I have noticed that something is amiss. Something about them has them worrying. And I am curious for this new way.
And
And
this
that
is
is
why
why
you
I
brought
need
us.
you. Yes. I've a small task in mind, one that you will no doubt be rewarded for, and find yourselves with a greater sense of protection while within the city.
I think Laura's gonna look at the crew, kind of like, that sounds nice.
We are listening.
My task is quite simple, and you already know some of it from what I've told you. I need you to find out what has the Keepers of the Flame in such disarray. What is worrying them, and why?
We, upon our trip here, encountered some resistance throughout the city. Are you able to... Is there something you can do to make that easier for us as we gather this information?
Yes, I can.
And in Dwarvish, you hear them speak that name.
Garntukar.
And it takes a minute, but you eventually hear the running footsteps of that same dwarf that had kind of escorted you in a little bit. And they stand, and then they bow, and then go, Wyrmsmith. And Femmershout looks up at him and kind of goes,
These disciples of mine shall be needing badges of gold indicating they are within my service. And make it clear that if anyone interferes with their business for me, they will burn for it.
And Gar Tokar looks a little taken aback and surprised, and they bow. Immediately, Your Excellency, I will have them made right away. And they run off. And Femmershout kind of chuckles and like shimmies their way, sinking into the gold and gems a little bit more.
Well, that will do it, I think.
Yes. Thank you for your aid in this. A couple clarifying questions. How important is discretion to the Keepers of the Flame or from the Keepers of the Flame in this investigation? I assume you don't want us simply walking up to them and asking what their problems are. Where should this investigation begin?
Their large head descends down towards you till that very large yellow and orange eye is staring right at you, Sephel. And they go,
I knew you were a smart one. Yes. Keep it discreet if you must. I gather that there's something else holding a sway upon them. Perhaps you can inquire as to what that is. Say that I'm merely concerned for their own safety, and that as they have been such good tenants of mine, that I'm merely ensuring their own safety. I am sure that they will ask you to perform of some service for themselves. They are a greedy sort, and I think that happened long before myself. I do ask that whatever they ask of you, you bring that information to me first. I require all first-hand accounts. I will not be held out of the loop.
I think we can agree to that.
Absolutely.
That being said, I assume we would need free passage into your chambers without an escort. If we were to have a conversation with them and then immediately ask them to escort us to you, it would be questionable behavior, would it not? We need a means of contact.
They will not disturb you should you come seeking me now. I will make that most clear. I will always know when you approach my lair.
I think perhaps
Go ahead.
I think perhaps we've already seen some of what is going on with the dwarves at the gate to this half of Gracklestugh. They started a certain disposition and then rapidly became enraged, and then it was as if a switch had flipped and they were fine again.
Are you aware of risings from the Dark Lake.
I have no information about this. I do not venture into those waters. I am quite cozy here.
We were recently at a trade port that I believe was referred to as Sloopadoop, that has since been supposedly sunk, destroyed, laid waste by a large demonic creature that rose out of the water. And there were similar effects of disposition and mental state in a number of individuals who saw that creature. I do not have enough information to draw any conclusions, but it does seem reminiscent.
Curious. These are all good things to perhaps mention to the keepers. This does not ring any bells for me, though. But this does further intrigue me as to how you have all found your way here to Gracklestugh. You are all...
And their eye kind of looks over the five of you.
of an odd sort.
Our destination is ultimately the surface. We are not from here, clearly.
I could gather that as much. But I have had enough of this talking. Sigar Tugar, gather your badges and begin your investigation. I expect reports very soon. And I am apt to hear more of your stories when you do come back. Your personal stories.
And they retract their head and they kind of wave one of their large taloned arms at you.
You are dismissed.
Sephel is smart enough to bow.
Oh yeah, Lars salutes.
They kind of like shimmy again and they hold their neck and their head up high. You can tell that kind of groveling and behavior very much pleases them. Arthur is like quickly following suit, and Stool as well, who has kind of shriveled up and been standing behind Indigo, just like, it's fucking hot and I'm a plant.
His cap is like singed a little bit.
I need water. Yeah, so you have this mission. What do you guys do?
Get the fuck out.
Go see Cartoon
When
Car.
Dragon tells you to leave, you leave.
Okay. As you guys start exiting the cavern and you reach the small buildings outside of its entrance, that dwarf appears and they pass out to the five of you. These five large dragon head, like, badges, essentially. Picture like a sheriff's badge, but it's like a figurehead of a red dragon there in this bright gleaming gold. And they hand it to you all and they go, if you just present this to any guard that you come upon and tell them that you are on Thember Shouds, the great Wyrmsmith's business, they'll let you through.
Thank you. Lara's gonna pin it right next to her pin of the Deep Mother.
Love it.
Just collecting Boy Scout
It's like going to
badges.
Disney World, you get all the pins.
Or the Pokemon
Yeah,
gym
the gym
badges.
Yeah.
How many towns can you walk into without being
Yeah, right.
questioned?
Or how many towns can you walk in being questioned? This makes two now.
Yeah. And how many of them are still standing? One for two.
So as you all put these pins on these badges, Gartokar looks at you all and he's kind of like rubbing his hands and goes, "Could I ask you all a question?
You may.
Absolutely.
What did our Wyrmsmith ask of you?"
He is concerned of the state of affairs of the people of Gracklestugh. He's noticing attitudes and disposition shifting, and he is worried as to whether or not it will affect him or not. And since we are new and don't have much options for protection or work, he has chosen us to sleuth it out for him.
He kind of appears surprised and goes, "Oh, I see. All right, that's quite fine. There is rather something troubling the rest of us. It's I don't know how to describe it other than to say that those of us of a deeper magical nature have found that something has torn through, or it's almost like a hole has been torn in the world, the fabric of the world, and, well, it's definitely because of the grey ghosts, if you ask me.
The what?
The grey ghosts.
Grey ghosts there.
A no-good, rotten, thieving guild here of Deros working against us. They, in fact, and perhaps you could help us with this, they took something of large importance to us. Something that, if we don't get back, could mean disaster for our city and the Wyrmsmith.
And that would be?
Wait, you have to promise me this, that you'll have to go looking for it, and that not a word of it will be spoken to Themershoud.
The party all slowly nods.
This is just like eyes squinting and nodding, just like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we are.
This is like the classic "don't tell your mother, don't tell your
Yeah,
father"
right.
loophole.
You tell both, get the best output, the outcome. Yeah.
Like both of them were in trouble, and you got both
Yeah, right.
prizes.
Yeah, you guys are kind of kids in a candy store right now with all you can do.
Yeah.
I think, Lara looks at him seriously and nods.
The Arthur kind of like leans over Lara and is just like,
Yeah, you can trust that we'll keep this quiet for you. Don't worry about it.
and make a deception check. Just straight
Is
up,
that,
no.
That's him giving the help action?
Yeah.
$15.
Okay. Gartukar looks over the lot of you and kind of like looks around and goes, "It's our belief that the Grey Ghosts stole our most prized treasure to use it in this foul ritual, whatever they've done to tear open this hole in the world. And what we need back desperately is our red dragon egg." And that's where we'll end it tonight.
Hey, you, loyal listener, you've made it this far to the post show notes. and that means the absolute world to us. Thank you so much for being here. If you have one more second, we would adore you if you could leave a rating and a review in whatever podcatcher you're currently listening in. The ratings and reviews are astronomical when it comes to growing the show because it's what gets us noticed for new listeners. So if you have just a moment to do that, please do. And we also have a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram if you want to give us a follow. It's at The Madness Table. And if you've noticed, we are now posting weekly episodes because of supporters like you. So if we haven't said it enough, thank you. And we will see you in just 7 short days for our next episode when...
Madness continues.